mock it up, and it's kind of tricky. As you see, look at how close the wastegate and the exhaust is. So there you see the piece that it punched through. Boom. There you go, one dimple die. What's going on, guys? Welcome again to another video of Unknown Destiny Fabrication. Today, what we have scheduled for you guys is working on this piece right here. So, as you guys know, I recently purchased this 2019 Hayabusa. And I think I already told you guys I wasn't going to try to do any power upgrades as of yet, because I wanted to put some miles on the bike first, wanted to make sure that everything was okay, proper braking, all that good stuff, and then I was going to start doing power upgrades. My power upgrades that I would prefer, the first one to be a alien head Brox exhaust, or I should say a Brox alien head exhaust, maybe a alien head 2, I guess, and that would be the first one. And then maybe a power commander, if not just a flash on the ECU. There's a guy here kind of local, maybe like an hour away, that does that, is really good at it. I hope he still does it. He did it on my 05 Hayabusa limited edition, and it worked out great. Bike had plenty of power. I mean, it had more RPM. He deleted the speed restrictor on it, so I could essentially go over 200 miles an hour. That is not the goal for this bike. It's just I want to be able to have an exhaust on it, have a little bit more sound, get it tuned obviously the correct way for that exhaust. I might do a K&N air filter, possibly an airbox mod. I'm not sure if these bikes are the same way as the Gen 1 Busas, but I'm not sure. We'll see. Maybe talk to a few people about the Gen 2 and see what they think about it. But for now, I wanted to do some cosmetic upgrades, something that'll look nicer. A lot of you may criticize. That might not be your thing. Fine. That's my preference, something that I wanted to do. So something that I've actually not done before. On my Gen 1 Busa, I did do, as far as cosmetics, only thing that I had changed on it was the triple tree. So I was able to lower it in the front. And I did Brox alien head exhaust, ceramic coated in black, and also like a wave rotor and powder coated, like the gas cap and the ring, everything in satin black. The rear sets, the pegs, the sprocket. I had powder coated everything in black, satin black, to go with the bike, and it looked very, very good. So I will go that route with this bike, but I just don't want to take it all apart just yet. And it's kind of saying one thing to say another, because to do these modifications we will be doing today, I will have to take some parts apart. But it's just take off, put on kind of deal, real quick. Let's move on to the Hayabusa, to the Gen 2. This is what I've purchased for it so far. So I have the gauge bezel covers with all the little ball mills done on it, and then the tank little bolt covers with, also it says Hayabusa on it, and it has the little ball mills around it, and then the reservoir covers, which I think I like the most because they're kind of embossed, kind of raised up, and it all came with hardware. This all came with their hardware, and then well, this goes over here with this, and then a chain cover, chain guard, and I went ahead and bought a oil plug with the Hayabusa logo and the ball mill, and the brake lever and clutch lever clamps, clamp caps, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. They also, I haven't unwrapped any of this yet, but they also have the Hayabusa logo and also have like the little ball mill, like they call it diamond cuts on them. So we're gonna go ahead, as you guys see, those are, as you guys see, those are, or should be, very simple installation. The one that's a little bit more in depth, I think, is gonna be the gauge bezel cover, because you have to take a couple panels off of the bike. But everything else is take a couple bolts off, put the new part, take the old part off, put the new part on, put the bolts back on. That's it, pretty much, done deal. Easy swap off and on. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright guys, so the first thing I'm going to do is actually install the gauge bezel. And so we got to actually take this panel off and the upper panel off. So the first step we're going to do is actually take these little cap covers off. There we go, got one off. Then repeat the process on the other side. Here, there's a bolt right there that's actually holding that bottom portion of that cover. So we have to go ahead and remove that. That's an Allen bolt. We'll go ahead and remove that and take that lower portion of the Alright, so once you take these two clips off and the center bolt off, it's pretty much just simply pop the gauge, pop the bezel or this cover off, and then remove it up, or try to, there we go, and that's it. That's your, looks like Batman stuff, but that's it. That's your cover. Set that to the side, and then now we're going to remove the upper portion, which should be just two clips, one clip on each side, and that's it. So let's go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and push the clip, the center of the clip in. Come on. There you go. And then it should just come off. And that's it. There goes your clip. Repeat the same thing on the other side. One thing I didn't see until you remove that lower portion on it, that you have this big clip right here. So it's so big, I was actually able to push the center of it with my hand, with my finger, and then remove the clip. That's it. You should be able to, yeah, so it's loose now. So I just got to remove the same two clips on the other side, and we should be able to take this portion off. As I said before, same thing. Push the clip, center of the clip in, pop it off. That's it. Then come to this side of the clip, same thing as the other side. Push the middle in, pry it out a little bit. I don't want to pop it out all the way because it could fall. That's it, pull it out. Alright, once we take all four of those clips off, now it's time to take this upper portion off. So I went in and took a risk and pulled on it, and it actually came off. As you can see, it just pops off right there in the middle. You have to straighten out, or actually turn it all the way to the other side, and then do the same thing. Firm pull, and there you go. Straighten out your wheel again and pull it out. So, like I said, you have to take the gauges off, and it's not really that tricky. You just take these two bolts off, 8mm heads, and literally pull straight out. And those two pins that you see here and here, that's all that holds it on. You pull it out, not all though, don't yank on it, because you have this plug. You have to peel back the rubber boot for that plug and press the little tab and pull the plug out. It comes out fairly easy, and that's it. First thing you could do is you could actually remove the bolts. Only on the outside is 3, 4, 5 is 2, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 bolts. So it's 10 bolts only on the outer perimeter. Those inside bolts do not come off. You take those off and this comes apart. Once this comes apart, you turn it upside down and you have those little bitty bolts right here. Once that came off, you actually have to remove this felt little gasket. Remove that. It is stick on, so the adhesive on it is actually pretty decent, but it does come off with the felt. You are able to put it back on the new bezel, so just pop those off. Pull them off carefully, obviously. Try not to get the back of this little plastic dirty or anything. But also this bezel, which I am going to keep in my inventory of my old stuff for this bike, or the stock stuff for this bike, it does have some adhesive behind it, as you can hear, so you have to pull it off carefully. Most of the adhesive did come off. You can see right there, it has very small amounts of adhesive there on the sides. I took some of it off over here on this ring, came off and whatever, but anyway, remove the bezel, put it aside, and it is as simple. And the new one does not bolt on, it has no bolt holes or anything like that, but it's as simple as slide it on. And I heard something like if it was dirty. So you want to try to have everything nice and clean. Make sure everything's clean all the way around. Make sure the bezel's clean, no dirt, no debris. It's good to go. So really, all you have to do is pop the new bezel on, and there you go. What I'm gonna do is also, after that, let's see if I can pop this little sticky deal back on the new bezel. Should be able to, yeah. So like I said before, this still has some sticky tape or whatever on it. Try to install it in the new bezel. Stick it on there best as you can. Repeat that for the bottom side, and then reverse what you just did. Put it on, put everything on together, put the bolts on in the back, all that stuff. Obviously the smaller bolts are not going to go on it, so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to install them on the bezel, so whenever I put them away, I don't have to put the bolts in like a little bag or anything like that and get lost. It's with the bezel already, so I'll be able to save them like that. But once I have this all put on the new bezel, I'm going to put this back on here, which I actually could do right now, honestly. Put the bolts back on it and install the gauges back on the bike, and then put everything back together, all these pieces back together, and then we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next part, which I think will be the reservoir caps and all that other stuff. So let's go ahead and put all this stuff back together. Alright, so went ahead and installed the gauge bezel. Alright, so went ahead and installed the gauge bezel and put the little felt back on it as best as I could. It doesn't match perfectly, but I still put it on there as best as I could. And then it's a matter of reinstalling the gauges. Make sure you connect the gauges first. There you go. Slide the boot over it, the plug. And then slide the gauges on its in the little pins. Once it's on there, you're good to go. Go ahead and put the other pieces back on, and your gauge bezels are installed. Alright guys, so there you go. There you have it. Everything is installed back again. That's what the gauge bezel looks like. Let me see. I mean, it's not gonna be any difference really, but with the lights on, just gives everything a different look. Obviously a lot darker, a lot nicer, a lot cleaner to me. Everything goes together. So yep, let's move on to the next thing. I think reservoir caps will be the next thing in line. So let's go ahead and take the old one off, put the new one on.